Hello, kindergartners. We have been reading The Tiny Seed, and today we're going to finish up talking about the tiny seed. And today we're going to be talking about what happened at the beginning of the story, what happened at the middle of the story, and what happened at the end of the story. So go ahead and take a piece of paper, and I'm going to draw 2 lines on my piece of paper. And I'm going to put a B on one of them for beginning, an M for middle, and the E for end. So we're going to draw a picture of what happened at the beginning, what happened at the middle, and what happened at the end. So let's see what happened at the beginning of the story with our tiny seed. Let's look at some pictures. We're not going to read this story, but we can look at the pictures because we've read this a couple times now. So what happened to the tiny seed first? At the beginning of the story, what happened? So in the beginning of the story, the wind was pushing the seeds to different places. So that's what was happening at the beginning of the story. So I'm going to draw a seed and maybe even so we have the tiny seed and then a bunch of other seeds and then the wind. Because the wind was pushing the seed to different places. So that's what was happening in the beginning of our story. The seeds were being pushed by the wind to many different places. So then, what happened in the middle of the story? Let's see. Where was the tiny seed now? It was in the ground. And it started growing, right? And there was some, a foot trampled one, another one got picked. But the tiny seed kept growing, right? So then what happened in the middle of the story? What did the tiny seed do in the middle of the story? The tiny seed started to grow. So we can draw the dirt and our tiny seed, and then we could start to draw it growing. Because that's what happened in the middle of our story, is it started to grow. So in the beginning of the story, the wind was pushing the seeds to different places. In the middle of the story, the seeds started to grow. It went into the dirt and then started to grow. And then let's look what happened at the very end of the story. Look, the petals are starting to fall off. And then what happened at the end of the story? The flower released its own seeds, and now the seeds are flying in the wind. So that's what happened at the end of the story. So we can draw that. Let's draw our flower. And our flower, all the petals fell off, so we can draw some petals, maybe one petal left on. And then the seeds flying out. And the wind pushing it. So at our beginning of our story, the seeds were being pushed by the wind. In the middle of our story, we had the flower growing. And then at the end of the story, the flower released its seeds and pushed all of their seeds off into where the seeds are going to go next. So that's what happened at the beginning, the middle, and the end of the story. Go ahead and draw your pictures for the beginning, middle, and end, and then post it onto Seesaw.